Hey Riddhi, welcome to day 1000.
Hi, Kavan. So happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
It's been a long time in the making because, I think a new launch has kept you very busy. We want to uncover the first 1000 days of NeceSera now, which is way over, the first 3 years. I think you folks have scaled quite a bit. The intention is to try and help founders who probably want to build in your category or are just starting up, who want to know, answers to some very common questions which keep all of us awake at night. But before all of that, Riddhi, why don't you just quickly tell me a little bit about you and your company?
Yeah, for sure, Kavan. So I am Riddhi. Hi, everyone. I run NeceSera with my co-founder and my sister Sidiksha. And what we essentially do is make the most comfortable clothes. And why we started was simply because we wanted to bring the best fabrics to the country, which we felt was completely missing in the market. And we've just done that category wise based on the products, which are essentials is in everybody's wardrobes.
Awesome. I think I've seen you folks scale quite a bit. Can you give us a little bit about how big the company is now? What's the scale looking like?
So right now we are a small team and we are mostly focused on D2C. We have just expanded into retail as well through MBOs. So we're really looking forward to the next few years as well because there's a lot of new things coming up.
Fantastic. I want to now, jump to our first question. Often founders who are, first time founders underestimate the amount of energy and inertia it takes for you to actually kick off, right? To get those first few customers. I want to ask you, how did you end up getting your first customers? I guess almost 7, 8 years ago.
Yeah. So actually, it's funny you say that about the inertia, Kavan, because for us, the journey was quite the opposite because it was literally like within 1 week of deciding, like, we wanted to start this and get into loungewear for women. We actually like had our first, like, we thought of the brand name, thought of like the direction we want to go in, had our first designer, our first merchandiser, like the first set of like our small team, and that was literally like within 7 days of thinking of the idea. So I think that was what kind of helped us start off on a faster and a better momentum because we were just like, okay, these are the things we need to do. And like, we just got onto it without thinking a lot about like, okay, how will it happen? What we did spend a lot of time on was like researching the fabrics and getting that right. So of
Hmm.
course we made a lot of mistakes on the way as well, but like that initial part was actually very, very quick. And the first 100 customers was also within the first 6 months, I'd say, the moment we had got our first fabric and made a very small collection of loungewear. It was actually at an offline pop up, which was kind of an experiment to test the market, but also just to see, like, what people think of the product because this was something completely new. Like, the fabrics that we did and the kind of prints that we were working with was never like seen in the Indian market, especially. We got a great response and we were like completely sold out the first day. And it was not from family and friends, it was just like new customers who had never heard of this brand. So it was actually a very exciting first start. And this was before our website or Instagram page. It was literally just a small pop up.
Fantastic. I've heard often in this series that offline has been a very interesting strategy when you're just starting out. And I've been thinking why that probably works. I think it's because when you are a young company with no past customers, reviews, authority, etc., when you're able to talk to the founder
Yeah.
who really sells you the dream they've actually, worked so hard on, you
Yeah.
really want to be a part of that journey. And as an early customer, you want to take a bet on those people. And ads, websites don't really give you that. So
Yeah.
super exciting to, hear that. Compared
Yeah.
to now, now let's say 7, 8 years in the future, how are you getting customers today though?
So today it's obviously like a mix of a lot of things, right? And we have been focused primarily on D2C, so which is like our own website, but it's a mix of marketplaces. We also sell internationally now, so it's a bit of that plus also MBOs across India. So we partner with people who really understand the product and like, you know, have that sort of space where we can communicate what we sell really well. Like we don't like we are not trying to be like everywhere. We are trying to be only in places, whether it's online or offline, where we are able to communicate what we are making really clearly. So that way it's like a mix of marketplaces, MBOs, D2C, and this is within India and as well as the GCC. For
Awesome. I
another.
think as you start having bigger ambitions, larger targets, you need to, I guess, have a large pool of channels. On that note, it's a good segue into our next question, which is often this temptation to grow, right, makes founders impatient, have them make mistakes, make too many things people don't want, spend too much money on things, which don't work out.
For
So, can you tell us a little bit about, what were the first few spends you made which you really regret today?
Yeah. So in fact, it was one of the first ones we made, which was in so as I mentioned earlier, like, we are very focused on the quality of the fabric and like literally like if you understand fabrics, then it's like the particular GSM of the fabric. Like if it's like a little bit up or down, it can change a lot of things in the product. If some of the trims are not right, it can again change a lot of things. And just like every single detail, like how much percentage of each fabric is put into a certain blend changes
Mm.
like everything. So the first fabric that we ordered actually was a certain quality of modal, which was not 100%. It was like I'd say like the 95% level of quality. And when we got it, we like knit the fabric. We got the first swatch and we were like, no, this is not it. So our entire first order was actually like we never ended up selling that because it was not 100% there. And then we reordered and then we spent another few months like waiting for that fabric to be like, as per the standards that we wanted. And then we realigned ourselves and then launched with that. And yeah, so that fabric we ended up using only for our, fit samples or just everything else, just never sold that. So that was definitely like the first bad mistake that we made.
So, like, basically, I think ordering a large batch without really understanding, if that's the right fit, I think is the bucket I kind of put it in.
Yeah, for sure. And in apparel, it's actually pretty common because people do struggle a lot with like inventory
Mm,
issues because of the sizes and everything. So
mm,
thankfully, we've been able to manage our inventory post that pretty well. But like, I think just being fixated on the quality didn't like,
right.
help us stick with what we wanted to give and not just do something just because we had that fabric with us. Yeah.
Understood. Anything else which comes to your mind?
A lot. There was like probably like a lot of things. A lot of like I guess like even in marketing, like there were a lot of things which we did which were probably not, didn't give us the results that we were expecting. But along the way, there was I'd say like there was learning in every step of the way. Like maybe when we started off with digital marketing as well on Meta, right? Like we were just doing things which we understood, which was as per the best of our understanding. But definitely there was a lot of learning which came along the way. And then we were like, okay, there's a better strategy needed there. What are we communicating? How are we communicating? All of that. So of course, like there was a lot of stuff which went, but I'd say like a lot of it, even if it doesn't give the ROI that you expect, like there is a lot of learning, and that's a part of like starting a business. So that happens to anyone in any space whatsoever.
No, that's a fantastic point, right? I think in the start, as a company, if the outcome of any activity is learning, just do it because you never know what will teach you 5 years down the line. You never know what insight you'll get, which may really shape your strategy.
Yeah. And it also helps you like I feel stick with what you really believe in. You keep going back to your drawing board and being like, wait, I can't do this because this is why I started it. And that reason could be different for everybody. But like honestly, that helped us really shape who we are and who we want to be like 10 years, 20 years down the line also. It's constantly the case even now.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Now jumping to my third question, understanding your channels is so critical for predicting your growth. And the unfortunate part is it's a lot of experimentation one needs to go through. You need to do it the hard way always. And so anybody hearing this obviously needs to know that channels are very contextual to your
Yeah.
business and your product. But
Yeah.
can you tell us a little bit about your most underrated channel in your mind?
I'd say underrated for sure has been retail. I mean, we started off with a small online offline pop up, but that was not something we ever wanted to focus on. We were very focused on the whole D2C journey, like many other brands around us. But to be very honest, like now since we're getting into MBOs as well, and we started that retail structure again, like the kind of information and kind of like like just that flow of information which is there with customers when you're actually at that physical touch point, whether it's direct or indirect through like a multi-brand outlet, is probably the key to all the information that you need, like for your product, what your customer truly wants. Because you're actually only making for that customer, right? Like you're not making for yourself, for your
Right.
family and friends. Like you're making for the people who are genuinely using your product on a daily basis. So it's what they think and feel about your product and how they are in their daily lives is what you are making for. So that communication and that touch point is really, really important, which is very probably non-existent like in D2C, or even like if you're scaling through marketplaces and things like that. Like that's very difficult to get unless you have a very strong community. So I think
Right.
that I feel is very underrated, and it's helped us a lot in our journey. And we haven't been very focused on it, but it's something which is definitely has changed a lot for us.
Fantastic. Yeah, I think a lot of brands, right? I think most, if not all,
Yeah.
realized that in India, right, retail is so important, especially in categories like yours where you probably want to try it, feel it, touch it before really making that decision. So yeah, not surprised, but I think you're part of so many people who had to, kind of understand that how important retail could be when you want to start scaling.
Yeah.
It's definitely great to do D2C first because it's less expensive, less risk,
Yeah.
faster iterative cycles. But I think once you know you have a product market fit, I think retail is the way to go.
Yeah, yeah. Even like as you talk about being expensive, there's also inexpensive ways of being in retail, which are not like, the traditional ways, just literally just going to a physical space and like talking to people about your products. Like something as simple as that could give you so much insight into a product.
Fantastic. No, that's absolutely true.
Yeah.
Coming to, the overrated channel, or, something you feel is super overrated
Super overrated. I
as a
mean,
channel. Yeah.
yeah, for sure. I think it's got to be like your meta ads. Overrated, and also just like overspent and overthought about. Like obviously it drives results, and most D2C brands do spend like a lot on digital marketing ads, but it's just something that like over a period of time, if you really analyze like, having put that spend, like we were talking about retail earlier, if you spend that same amount on retail, like you actually have that physical touch point, which is a longer term investment. Because for many brands, just spending on these ads like is like a thing you're doing daily, but like the moment that stops, you don't know what the results are going to be.
Hmm.
So, what are you really building? Are you building the brand? And again, it comes back to like why you started. Like, is it more for the scale, or is it more for like building a long term brand? I think like just aimlessly spending a lot, even if it's giving you a great ROAS, like if it's not something which stops working the moment the ad stops, like if the customers are not coming back and there is no retention, then I think all of that is basically pointless.
Right.
So I think like just really balancing out with how you're really building the brand and why customers are coming back to you. Is it because they're seeing that ad again, or is it because they genuinely love your product? So like just evaluating ways where you're balancing both the things is quite important, which I think
100%.
just gets miss.
Yeah, I think, meta ads often are like a bad habit. Like they feel great when you're doing them, but then, when you reflect back, you realize, oh man, I regret what I did, right? So
Yeah.
I think, absolutely agree. I feel a lot of folks echo the same thing.
Yeah.
Usually your growth pressure, tempts you to spend money because you can immediately see the return. But,
Exactly.
once it goes away, right? Like, do you have the guts to just stop it one day and you'll know what's the
Yeah.
actual state?
Yeah. Even like just planning that, okay, this is going to be like my half yearly expenditure on Meta, and what else can I do with this amount? Like I think that perspective just changes everything. Like it did for us. So I don't know, like maybe it can change things for other D2C brands as well.
I'm sure it will. I'm sure it will.
Yeah.
So, those are the three questions, Riddhi. But before, you go, I have one final question as well, and use it as a parting thought for all the listeners, right? I
Yeah.
feel you have various answers and various approaches to solving these questions we answered. But the toughest part about the first 1,000 days is actually getting through them.
Yeah.
Anybody who's starting right now who knows there's a uphill battle in front of them,
Yeah.
what should I really focus on to get through the first 1,000 days?
Yeah. So the most important thing that got us through it was genuinely just know why you started. Like if you like probably every day it'll feel like you'll be like, why did I genuinely start this? Like it does not make sense. And like I just like I need to scrap all of this. Like that happens so often. If anyone is starting for like, like everyone has different reasons for starting. Like our honest reason was to make something which doesn't exist in the market and to make people really comfortable and feel at home. And everything, every issue that came up, we just went back to that, okay, this is why we started and we still believe in our product and we're going to keep going. So that's literally what it was. And even now, like it, and I'm sure it's going to keep happening down the line also, like, where you question so many things that are going on in, at work, but then you just go back to like, do you still believe in yourself and you want to keep believing in yourself? Because that's like where everyone else starts believing in you and your brand, right? So that's
Fantastic. I think that's some
it.
really profound advice, Riddhi. That comes from a very mature entrepreneur. I can totally see that. Thank you so much. This marks the end of the conversation. I hope you had fun.
Yeah, for sure. This actually took me back to the most exciting days of when we were getting started and like, yeah, reminded me of all of that again. So thank you for that.
Always a pleasure. And for everybody who stuck along, thank you so much for tuning in. If you'd like another founder coming on this series, please subscribe to our channels and a new episode will come out very soon. Bye bye.
Awesome. Bye. Thank you.